Hey everyone, it's Brett from Misfit Media, and I'm sitting here with Dara Malecki, who's the CEO and founder of the Pizza Press. The Pizza Press is a pizza franchise located in Southern California. They have about 30 locations, and Dara today is going to be talking to us today about what he's been doing to rebuild and recoup during COVID-19. Obviously, it's been a really, really crazy time for everyone, but since this kind of D-Day that we've all experienced, Dara's made some really, really awesome steps towards growing his restaurant from that time. And so, Dara, without further ado, would love to kind of hear about what you guys been up to.
What's up, man? Hey, thanks again for having me on. It's yeah, challenging times. Like let's just
Yep.
be clear about that. No doubt, in mentioning D-Day, I mean, realistically, I think March 14th or there and around that time was really when the restaurant industry probably got one of its worst news ever about having to shut down, limit their services, close down their lobbies. And I mean, it was one of the most confusing times to be a restaurateur and an operator, because you were trying to do what's best, not only for your employees, your customer, you're listening to, the president, you're listening to, everything. And we were just glued on, like this was the biggest event that has happened to us. And it truly is. This is
Mm-hmm.
by far one of the largest events that myself, my parents have experienced in their lifetime.
Yep.
And I mean, it truly is devastating. But at the same time, the key has always been is what are we doing now? I really, I think week one, I think everybody in the industry was just shocked, depression, you're just stuck in it. And it's what do we do now? Being in a pizza restaurant, absolutely, you have takeaway. Let me be clear. The takeaway percentages, third party, was maybe 10% of our business. 90% of it was dine-in. So, I
Mm-hmm.
fit with a lot of casual restaurants out there in regards to their strategies and what their metrics are for dine-in and takeout. Generally, and just to give a picture for the people who are out there listening, we're in 3,000 square feet. So these aren't your Papa John's walk in, grab the pizza and go. We've got seating for, anywhere from 50 to 80 people inside of our restaurants. So, I mean, it's meaningful that we fill up the lobby. D-Day +7 was, I think, when we really started working on what are we doing. We got our third party. We had a couple of them set up. We had our Ubers and our Postmates, and then the rest of our system, maybe you had one or two. They weren't really serious about it. I mean, let's be honest. As a restaurateur, seeing a door, as much as you like it, you're just like, whatever, dude. Like, cool, you're here. Okay, your order's ready. I'll see you later. Like, and it's just so incremental and so transactional. You
Yep.
really didn't have the appreciation that we have for them right now. I mean, there's phenomenal respect and appreciation for these guys. We're like catching them by name right now. But that was one of the first things we did. As a matter of fact, that was actually a really big objective for us in 2020, was to really expand our third party. There was
Yep.
a report back in November of 2019 that said the average household orders takeaway or third party once a week, and 30% of those households are ordering for that once a week. So
Wow.
let me correct that. 30% of all consumers order through a third party or delivery once a week.
Wow.
That to me was like, holy geez, because I think a lot of restaurants were seeing like, where is my customer going?
Yep.
Right? Like, why am I not capturing them? And it's like, well, maybe you're not relevant at the shopping places that they're in, right? We all have to meet our customers. We all have to meet our customers where they are going to shop. And if that's going to be on Uber, Postmates, DoorDash,
Yep.
Caviar, Grubhub, like we've got to adapt to that. And so we made a plan about how we can make that. Of course, there's the normal, geez, those guys charge outrageous fees, and so does the customer, right? The customer's like, man, I got to pay these fees, but at the
Yep.
end of the day, it's a luxury. It's something that people are going to do.
Absolutely.
And so all we did was say, okay, 30%. There's no reason why we should be subsidizing this anymore. Let's just pass some of those fees, and we'll subsidize a little bit less, but we're
Yep.
going to put it out there. And if the customer wants our product and doesn't want to show up into our stores, so be it. And so we made that move, and we organized with Chowley and Checkmate. So we're currently using Checkmates, but a couple of our brand partners use Chowly, which is great. And we aggregated all of them and put them together, integrated into our POS system, which we use Toast.
Yep.
Not to give drops, but Toast is obviously a great platform.
Absolutely.
If you're a multi-chain or a multi-location business, great POS to use. I'm always happy with what they have.
And then using Chally or Checkmate or Ordermark, you're saying to just aggregate all that data together to make it easier for operations for you guys.
Absolutely. It just gets right into the system. It pings your register. It prints out. You especially if you have workstations, that's what makes it easy. And then on top of that, we added KDSs, which are digital screens, so that you can see what's happening. And that was a quick technology that we added like overnight. Like the second this thing hit, it's like, how am I organizing these orders? I've got so many drivers coming in. I need to know where is everything. Because if someone comes and is like, hey, it was my order, it's like, oh yeah, we're let me get started on that, and this actually prioritizes because we have everything coming in. So that was one of the things that we did that I think was critical for our brand to move forward and to get.
So going back to that, you brought in screens that then aggregates all the orders on one screen together using one of these platforms.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. And it's by timing.
Yeah,
right?
And if they put in the time, if it's a future pickup, it has the time that they're going to pick up.
Oh,
so
wow.
I mean, this was something that I was testing the year before, but I rolled out to all my locations, and it was on plan, but we accelerated that plan. And I think that's something that I think when you're in a brand or you've got a business, this is the time where agility, flexibility, and drive is what's going to pull you through. And so far, we've been experiencing good results. I mean, look, no doubt. And for everybody out there that are in restaurants, look, we are there with you. Everybody, I've talked to everybody. It's, we're all down 75, 85% to what is normal. There are some restaurants out there that are absolutely crushing it right now. They've adapted faster, or they have a product that is, probably more take home or takeaway, or is more family style. I think family style is crushing it right now because people can buy the meals and have it for a couple of days for leftovers. Those are places where you're seeing great growth. But for us, it was like, okay, cool. We just dropped 85%. What do we do now? And that was really, okay, cool. We need to, check our systems, make sure that we're doing maintenance. And we really got on top of that, looking at our menus. What more can we add to it? Are we making the online ordering efficient enough where it's a 1, 2, 3 step that we're going through, right? I think that's super important. Is your online ordering consumer friendly where it's click done? Because any other snag in there is gonna cause lower check averages, and those are all the things that we're working on to make it easier for our consumers to consume our product in a digital space.
And so, Dara, you said it was an 85% drop. Was that like the exact number you guys were looking at?
That's 80, 85%. Yeah, on D-Day, that whole entire week, it was just a landslide, And so going from, a lot of sales a week, to not a lot of sales.
Because the big thing I keep hearing is I think a lot of restaurants, right when this happened, they decided immediately, this is the worst thing ever. We're never going to survive. And therefore, they aren't surviving. And they've shut their doors already. And then there's people like you who this same thing happened to. You guys dropped by 80, 85%, but you're not like, I'm going to give up now. It's how can we rebuild, right? And I think that's a big thing is it's a lot of it's just, I feel like mindset almost, because everyone dealt with the exact same thing. It's not like any other restaurant was luckier not than the others. Sure, I've heard some that didn't drop that much, right? But around the board, it's been pretty bad. And so I think your ability to bounce back so quickly which is obviously the biggest thing for you guys, is rather than get so down on it, okay, this is our new reality. How can we move up from that, right? Because
I think it's setting priorities straight. Look, obviously, are we able to make our rent? Are we able to, make our loan payments? No. But the fact of the matter is that's not important right now. Obviously, your states have and local governments have put together Obviously no eviction orders. And look, landlords have been great. I've heard some nightmare stories. I've heard some really great stories. All of our landlords have been really good for the most part in regards to like, hey, what's going on? What do you guys need? How much time? And what does it look like to get out of this thing?
Have you
But
have you
I think to go
have you
back
have
to
you
what you said before.
have
I'm
you
sorry, go
have
ahead.
you have you cut your rent like is there a certain like in half you're paying back later, or are they forgiving it, or how's that look for you
It's all
guys?
defer. I mean, realistically, look, man, we've got a contract. There's a
Yeah,
deferral. There's things that we've got to do to see if we need to push it later. Some
yeah,
landlords are giving you 3 months, and then we're going to defer it into next year and the following year and
got
feather
it.
it back in. All the things to survive. I mean, at the end of the day, today it's about survival right now.
Yeah,
That landlord isn't looking to get you out of the building. Like, trust me,
absolutely.
there's no one behind us. There's no
Yeah,
one behind us kicking
yeah,
down the door to get into that space right now.
that's 100%.
And look, if you were a good business before, you're going to be a great business after. You just got to fight through it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think a lot of people also, they're even scared just to ask their landlord, right? I mean, I think everyone understands this is literally a global pandemic. I think a little bit of rent forgiveness right now to be deferred later is totally acceptable. And a lot of landlords that I've spoken to, even our landlord, has been very forgiving about the situation. And it's really awesome to see. So for people who aren't doing that, that's a big opportunity. Just ask, hey, can we cut this rent in half this month and pay it back later?
Or
Absolutely.
just communicate it, or
Just
just
communicate it.
communicate, just
Exactly.
communicate. Like, don't be afraid to just be honest. I think,
Yeah.
number one, if you're not talking with people right now about your situation, you're
Yeah.
only making you're internalizing everything. That's the complete wrong thing to do. Like, be honest. There's no egos out there right now. There's none. I've talked to obviously large landlords. They're struggling. They're like, look, we're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to stay open because we're trying to keep employees employed. Of course, we couldn't keep
Yeah.
all of them, but we kept the most critical ones that we've spent years developing.
Yeah.
That's important. I'm serving those people, and I'm looking to my landlord, and they're like, well, you're still open. It's like, I'm just trying to keep, number one, the community with food, my
Yeah.
staff with hours so they can pay some of their bills. And we're going to fight our way through this. But the key is communicate not only with your landlord, communicate with other people in your peer groups,
Yeah.
other restaurateurs. Talk to them. Like, find your way to just express what you're going through and
Yeah.
have some mind share, because you may be reading a document that's telling you can't, but you're not seeing the other aspect of that in between the lines of all the cans.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. The other thing that I think is important, when you mentioned some people just gave up, obviously this is the biggest gut check I think every or business date. It's like, if you really love your business, right
Yeah.
now is the time it will show. If you don't love your business and you need an excuse to get out of that relationship, here's your your golden opportunity to
Yes.
get out. And if that's where your intentions are, look, understand, we're with you. It's always sad to see a brothers in arms, like in the restaurant game, fold. But at the same time, if you were weathered before this, and this was the straw that broke the camel's back, then,
Yeah.
go for it. Like, don't perpetuate a misery that was already there. But if you love it, if you're into your business, you need to get into it and really drive it. And that's
The
something that I
ultimate gut
think.
check. The ultimate gut check.
Absolutely. If you don't
I
love
love
your
it.
business, like, just get out now, because you're not going to love it. Even if you get your PPPs and you get your idols and you get all these loans,
Yeah.
this isn't going to get easier. The way out is going to be just as difficult as the way in. And you're going to have to put the work in. It's just, I'm putting the work in. I'm in my office for 4 hours a day, and then I'm out in my field working with my teams, working
Yeah.
with my franchisees, talking about ideas, getting mind share. I mean, all that
Totally.
stuff is super important.
I always tell our team too is if you feel a certain way at work, whether it's good or bad, or if there's something that you think we should adjust or change, I think communicating with your employees is so crucial, because oftentimes, I always say we can't read your minds. We have to communicate these things. So one thing I always talk to my employees about is like, hey, what's one thing you think we should start doing, stop doing, continue doing? And it's amazing
Right.
the kind of insight you get from your employees who are actually like the staff that might be on the floor working at your restaurants, whatever the case. Talking to the team about things that we can improve upon, I think is super clutch right now. not just amongst, your landlords and things like that, but the team. Hey, what can we do operationally when we bring in all these orders? What's something we can adjust to be better, to be a little more efficient? What is that we're
Right.
looking for, right?
Right.
So
And I think that's just, it's like get back into the kitchen, dude. If you started your business
yeah,
in the kitchen and now you're in an office like I was, dude, it's time to get out of the office and get back into the kitchen, because that's where the magic's going to happen. Looking at your business in regards to how customers are coming in and what their behaviors are is key. Because those same behaviors that are happening right now in the takeout realm are going to
yeah,
be the same thing that we're going to have to work and readjust those consumer habits on the way out of this. So if
yeah,
you're open right now, you are phenomenally, in my opinion, you are phenomenally advantaged to the people who are shut and are going to try to figure this business out
yeah,
after we start reopening, because
totally,
it's going to be different. It's going to be different, but it's not going to be changed forever. It's going to be different, but we're going to work ourselves back to normal. But will it be a new normal? Maybe, to a certain degree, but I think, there's just a lot of fear. And I mean, for me, it's always been like, I'm going to take faith over fear. I have faith that we're going to be able to get through this. I have
yeah,
faith that my brand is strong enough, my product is good enough, that we will be able to persevere.
totally.
But
People,
I'm not going to sit there and fear about everything. Like the fear of, oh, geez, I've got all these bills that are stacking up. I've got all that. I've got faith that I'm going to get the financing that I need. I'm going to be smart about how I use, the certain funds that are being earmarked at the moment. And then
yeah,
how I'm going to deploy that money is going to be absolutely strategic. And maybe that's a good segue to start talking about some of those items that are out there that are resources for restaurateurs.
totally. Well, I know on our last phone call, what you spoke about was timing the PPP loan and some of these other loans. Can you kind of walk us through your mindset about that? Because that was really interesting, I thought, on our last phone call, just to kind of mention.
Well, I think some of the things that we do know. I think everybody knows that when you get the PPP money, it's 8 weeks to 25% can go to rent, utilities,
Yeah,
etc. And that's great. So you got 25%. So let's just say, look, you got $100,000 from the
yeah,
PPP. You're a single unit operator, and you've got $12,000 a month. So $25,000 is going to go to the 2 months of rent from April to May, because
yep,
realistically that's really our impact zone, right?
exactly.
March was maybe you got your March payment, maybe you didn't.
Yeah,
Um, you know, and as we've watched reports, it looks like May we're going to start seeing us in some states starting to step out of this thing.
hmm,
With the PPP, it's super important. That got obviously April 3rd, everybody could apply. They got e-trans. There were some challenges, but I think a lot of people were getting their money this week, and they're receiving their money this week, which is awesome. For all those people who got their
yeah,
money, awesome. Proud of you. Use it right. But as a business owner and as a steward of a business, that you've got to be the captain of the ship.
yeah,
It's important that we're just not giving away money for people sitting at home, or you're just going to have a bunch of people show up to work to do nothing.
totally.
It's how do we make things productive? And that's kind of been my strategy about the PPP. If you
Okay,
have your idle loan, if you're getting EIDL, that's phenomenal money to start looking at as you get into June, or even sooner, and getting your application in, because that should be thought of as recovery money. Like, I
yeah,
need to pay my employees, but I also need recovery funds. Like, get onto the economic disaster loan. That's at disasterloans
yeah,
SBA.gov or SGOV. Anyways, look it
yeah,
up. Just type in disaster loans. The disasterloans.sba.gov is going to be the way to go. And obviously put in your application. It's a 15 to 30-year loan, 3.5% fixed rate for 30 years. How can you say no to that money?
it's amazing.
How can you say no? But
That's
in
huge.
regards to the PPP, I missed the first window, right? I had my application in. I thought I was going to get it. I got a letter from my bank saying, hey, sorry, you missed the cut. for the funding before it ran out of money. Now, we all know that there's another 250 that's being debated on the floor at the Congress level, or the Senate. One of them are fighting over it, but that's okay. We know that that's most likely going to come through because so many small businesses didn't get the opportunity to get their money. But to be honest, if you are a smaller business, that is a silver lining on the cloud as long as that money comes through. Because the later you receive that money is the 8 weeks that you're extended. If we're getting to recovery and you get approved on May 8th, and in 10 days from May 8th, so May 18th, that money, or let's say 5 days, so it's, May 13th, you're getting that money. That's a blessing, because now you have until July, right? July, May, June, July. You'll be in July by the time you have to expend the forgivable portion of that money.
Absolutely.
I mean, everybody's going, and the bank wants you to have it forgivable. The bank doesn't want to carry this loan. They don't want to carry a 1% interest loan for 2 years on their books. They just don't want to do it. It's not profitable for them. They don't want to do it. So the strategy for me that I built out for my business is the later I can get that money. Because look, at the end of the day, we all started here on March 10th. We were all up here, and then we came down to here, and then we're all riding down here, and maybe with some incremental increases. No doubt we've had some increases in wins, and we'll get to that in a second. But the thing is we are going to see not a hockey stick, but a more dramatic increase as we get closer to June. So if you've got $100,000 or $75,000, and you are now revving up, right? You're revving up. Fantastic. Now you're beyond your break even, right? Because no one's at break even right now. We're all sub break even. We're just able to pay our food costs and our labor and maybe a critical bill, but that's about it. We're just staying alive, and that's the name of the game right now.
And for everyone's reference, on the podcast, by the way, it's April 17th. So as Dara's kind of going through this, just so everyone has if you're listening to this later, it's April 17th. So you know the timeline that we're working off.
So good point. But the later you get that money, the better, because you have 8 weeks. And if you are seeing yourself revving up, and then you're able to hire more staff and bring back more of your staff and give more hours to your staff. For us, it's all about, we've been changing out shifts and giving people and rotating who's working and influxing furloughs so that we're still engaged with all the employees we have right now. But if you start seeing and you get beyond that break even, so you're like right over break even, and then you receive this money, and now this is where how the money works and isn't paying your staff, but now you're able to convert that money that you're receiving in to convert it into, let's say, maybe some debt or maybe extra rent, because it's now 3 months that you've been hurting, and you're going to convert that money into rent. And so because you have to catch up on things, you're able to take that $75,000 and plug it in and say that's $10,000 a week. You're able to say, okay, cool. I'm plugging that 10,000 because that's already taken care of. And now I'm able to shift those dollars, because that was all built into your food costs anyways, or your menu pricing. Now you're able to shift it over. So it becomes advantageous. But if you got it right now and we've got another month left, what are you going to do with that money? Is half of it going to turn into a loan?
Totally.
Are you so it's all about being strategic. How are you going to do it? I mean, if I got that money yesterday, I probably would have deployed delivery drivers. I would have had guys like, okay, great, we're going to just do self-delivery. And that was part of it. But I knew if I got approved yesterday, it would be until the end of April. Now,
would you,
I know I'm going to get that money somewhere
Let's just say you did do the self-delivery drivers. Would you in turn drop your third-party apps or continue using those as well?
No. I think
you do both.
Third party is interesting. It really is a marketing front.
Totally.
It's a marketing front for us. So I mean,
discoverability.
I'm going to get that. Yeah. I mean, it's in a marketplace. I mean, the key is, look, do hotels stop using hotels.com and Expedia because they have their own apps and everything? Absolutely not.
Yeah. 100%.
Like I look at Uber, Postmates, and this is a change of mindset, by the way, because my mindset wasn't always there. I was always like, man, this is disruptive. It doesn't really work for our business. Our product isn't as great when it goes 15 minutes, or these guys hold it forever because they're slow to deliver. But I look at it as a lead drive. I mean, look at the lead service. You can put something on your box, like order directly, or just get a stamp if you don't want to, if you're delivering something and it's just like, hey, deliver direct, order directly from our website and get delivery, for $4.99, like
Totally.
rather than paying all those fees. I mean, look, even the consumer's paying $8 for the delivery. And then so is the business. So it's a great lead driver. It's a great lead driver, and they are marketing day in and day out. So you can't be that upset about them. They're doing something good and introducing people to your brand.
And real quick, Dara, about, I know you said when this all happened, I mean, you had no choice but to get rid of some employees, obviously, unfortunately. Can you walk us through kind of how you went about prioritizing who you had to keep versus who you had to let go, unfortunately? I mean, is that?
One thing that I think, and look, good, bad, or indifferent. When we started hearing this thing and about other states doing shutdowns, I did an all-out email to let every employee know, like, hey, sign up now for unemployment, get your options. We may have to furlough. So I gave them a week notice before furloughs had to happen.
Got it.
And so we did that. And so we got them furloughed, and we didn't get rid of them. We furloughed them. I mean, I think a lot of people are like, I laid off. It's like, we didn't lay off anyone. We anticipate to get everyone back that we can. I want all my employees back. I'm in this business for the consumer and for my employees. Like, I don't know anyone who looks at their employees like they're just some cog in the wheel that's 100%. A money machine for you. Like, you wouldn't be successful in a restaurant business if you didn't care about your customer and if you didn't care about your staff like that. So let's get that rumor or get that kind of thought process out of people's heads. That it is the worst decision. And the worst, it is the worst feeling to have to let people go because you're letting your pride go.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
You're letting your pride go. Like, it makes you proud. Like, it's awesome to say I have 130 employees. It's awesome to say that. That is just like, wow, look at how many opportunities I give every day. Look at what I'm able to achieve. Look at these people who are coming in, knowing that some are here for a job and they're trying to get through college, but we're paying their bills. We're giving them a little bit extra cash in their pocket. And there's other people who are like, look, I'm looking for an opportunity, and they've chosen your company to have an opportunity with. All of those things are great things. And it's one of the best feelings in the world, that they believe in the brand that you built and that they're part of your team. I mean, that's like awesome. It's like you got a tribe. It's the coolest thing. You got this tribe and you're like, I'm into this. And so when you have to, tell them that they've got to stand down or go off, it was very confusing. But on a positive note, one of our furloughed employees came in and he was like, man, Dara, like, thanks for giving me a heads up to tell me to go and apply for unemployment. I took your advice. I did. He was getting his money the next week when others waited, and it was 3 weeks before they got paid. So I was like, dude, that's awesome. And it was just being honest. And that's another thing. Like,
communication. Yeah.
Yeah. I communicated with them. And as much as they felt at the current moment I was doing them wrong because it wasn't so clear at that time.
Yeah.
I believe they were a little bit more grateful when they were actually receiving checks before their friends did.
Yeah. No, I bet.
And that covered that covered them so that they could survive. I mean,
yeah. And props to you guys for being on that, you specifically, because I think a lot of restaurants we speak to, I think they were in denial of what was really going on, and they waited and waited and waited until it was too late. So the moment it sounded like you said March 10th, something happened, that's when this all started really coming out. You were on it, right? And I think
it started getting real March 10th for sure. And then it just dropped. That was bad news. But it's what you have to do, man. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to survive. But, the other thing is you also got to understand, like, I never want to have that situation where I walk in, and even with some of my office staff, it was like, dude, like, what, we're being furloughed? It's like, look, man, we're cool in the gang, and I know you're for real with the business, but in 3 weeks, what if I have to tell you that I can't pay you and you just work 2 weeks for me? Like, I don't think we're going to be, we're not that close of bros. You're not going to be willing to do that. And I don't expect you to do that. So
better be honest and stay in front of it. For sure.
And that was an honesty that I had to, really convey to them. Like, we're cool until you don't get a check, or I say, look, I can't pay you. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a big, like, well, F you, why didn't you tell me? So
Yeah.
when we got to that context, they were more understanding, and then it was more like, well, then how can we help from afar?
And I
And
think this is a huge tip, because I think a lot of people, all employers all over the place, it's furloughing someone or letting someone go is oftentimes a tough thing. But in this exact situation, it's also being the bigger person about it, and not being scared to say it, because you're going to help them in the long run. Like you just said, a lot of your employees appreciate it, right? I mean, the worst thing that happens is it's just like, boom, give them at least a warning, respecting that, that they're going to need something, and you got to be honest about it in this time. This is not a time to shy away from these tough conversations, obviously. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
So,
look, they know what's going on out there. They're aware.
yeah.
They're seeing the less traffic. They're seeing things not happening. And
Yeah.
a good employee doesn't want to stand around and do nothing all day. Like, no
Totally.
one wants to do that. So, like,
Yeah.
do yourself a favor, do them a favor.
That's very true.
Be honest. Be
Yeah.
honest. Like, and let them know what your financial situation is. Hey, man, I'm working on getting, I've talked with many employees. Look, man, I'm working on getting the PPP. I'm working on getting all these things set. I'm trying to recast a new financial strategy that I didn't know I needed 4 weeks ago. And we're going to try to work through this thing. And I hope to have you guys back as soon as possible.
And Dara, do you guys at the Pizza Press primarily communicate with your customers via email, or what's the best channel of communication for you guys that you guys use?
In regards to communicating with our customers?
With your employees. Sorry.
Oh, with our employees?
Yeah.
Geez, you know what? A lot of it's through email, and then we use hot schedules as well, so we communicate through that channel.
Okay, cool.
And then, because that's where their scheduling's at, and so we try to communicate. But each store runs. I mean, we've got a manager there. They really, like, we have right now our virtual town meetings with our managers. We if there's anything that's important, we call in a town meeting and have about a weekly call right now. It's monthly before, but now it's a weekly just to check in. But on the same token, I'm out in the field gathering information, looking and observing what's going on. I mean, no doubt, supply chain was a challenge. How do we order more effectively? Because, before our orders were really large. If there's multi-units on the phone right now, if you have 4 units or 5 units within close proximity, try to commissary at one, so that you're still able to buy in bulk and get your discount. So you're not buying 1 pound of basil, you're buying 5 pounds, and you're getting essentially 2 to 2.5 pounds for free. When you look at commodities, when you buy more, you get a better price. Try to team up, or even if it's another, restaurant, and you're in a franchise organization, and you've got another, franchisee within a block, within 2 miles, like, call them up.
Definitely.
Call them up and try to combine your orders so that you can lessen, or at least meet the minimum orders at a lot of the, and work it. Like, be creative, think outside the box.
Yeah. Big thing on note of communication that we started implementing as our agency is our private Facebook community amongst just our clientele and all of our employees, obviously. I've seen restaurants do that too as well, like at the individual franchise level, but also franchise wide. Have you guys ever considered that? Maybe. I mean, I don't know if that's
we wanted to. There's so many different, like, systems out there. It's really trying to choose one. And I mean, we try to Slack, we try to teamwork. It's getting people to really adapt. But that's actually something that I think is kind of interesting about this whole entire. Right? There's something interesting that's happening, out of this thing. Like, a lot more people are figuring out there's phenomenal technology out there.
Oh yeah.
And the key is everybody's being forced to use it. I mean, shoot, we'd be doing this podcast realistically, probably face to face, and probably within 4 feet of each other. But right now we're doing it, you're all the way up in LA. I'm here in Anaheim in Orange County, and we're doing fine. I mean, this is a great way of communicating, a great way to get messaging out, and it's efficient.
Absolutely. And then I know the last thing we spoke about is for you guys, having a phone number and a list of your customers that you can reach out to. Obviously, a time like this has been huge, right? I know you said that being able to send out an email or text blast to your customer base is so key. And that's something that you guys have also been, obviously being great about when it comes to communication with your customers, because without that, a lot of restaurants, they're just reliant on, like, their following on social media, which is great from a brand presence and this and that. But when you look at the average engagement rate, it's like, it's less than 1% these days. So it's very difficult to reach your
Right.
fans. Having a text and email list like you guys have, I mean, that's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, that we got back. I mean, we kind of went full circle, and obviously, I mean, I'm obviously a client of Misfit. I use you guys.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of what you guys do. And along with other partners that we use, but obviously with you guys, we're really an outside of the box thinking company, and I think that was something that we really went into Facebook and Messenger and really drove that. But what we really realized as we started looking deeper into it, that we're aggregating a lot of information, and we really, I mean, we both worked together to look at the funnel, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we were like, holy geez, we're grabbing all these emails, all these phone numbers. Now what do we do with it? And I mean, that was something that I think between Chase, you, and your team, we looked at it as like, okay, we got all this information and we're continually work the messenger, but we're almost burning people out in the messenger and on social media that we need to like directly engage. And so we brought in this funnel where it was gather information, gather information, gather information, and then directly drop it and start doing, the 2 for Tuesdays, which has been huge.
Yes.
That has still been growing, right? Like the 2 for
Totally.
Tuesday, as if you are a fan of the Pizza Press, locations currently do, at participating locations, of course.
Yeah, of course.
They have to drop that one. But they do a 2 for, which is, 2 pizzas for a set price.
Yes.
That has been a great way to bring people together in a social distance manner. Of course, I think everybody's got their top 5, their quarantine 4 that, you trust, whether they're family or close friends. They're people you trust. They're people they're people who would share information that if they weren't feeling well, they wouldn't put you in a situation where you'd be exposed. And so, you see those people out, and so they come out and, they grab their food, and whether they go back to their homes or their roommates or whatever it may be, that's been really effective. And that's where the text message and the email marketing has come full circle. And I mean, think about it, guys. Everybody's rocking on their phone right now. They're looking for news updates. They're looking for phone calls, and they're working from home, so they don't have their boss walking down the bullpen, seeing who's not, logged into their computer and doing their work. So, they're utilizing social media so much more to try to have some sort of social engagement, to catch the watch parties, to catch something, and to be other than COVID, of course. But they want to catch that opportunity of like, what's going on? What are we going to do tonight? Everybody's getting sick of cooking at home.
Oh yeah.
I know I've had, a bunch of pasta when I go home. We've tried to be creative, we have tacos. I mean, it's almost like on sequence. It's like,
and you guys,
cool.
you guys, I know we spoke about you're working on a bigger pizza to feed more people, right? I mean, something that's launched yet, or that's on the works?
Yeah, no, we're that's almost ready to go. I mean,
Nice.
great flavor, but larger, we'll order stacks of boxes, but realistically,
was that launched?
We order 5 different pizzas.
Is that specifically because of COVID? Like you guys came up with that because you're like, wait a second.
Yeah, more delivery products, participating in the larger piece of this industry. No doubt, the build your own experiential has all been great. It will only be available online, by the way. It's it's just something that we want to put out online and delivery. So, it'll most likely be in the next 2 weeks. It'll most likely be in select locations right now, mainly in the Orange, Anaheim, Brea, and Irvine area. It will be, a larger pizza. We've still got to get the boxes and everything else. We're finishing up the final touches, but that's another great segue.
Awesome.
Innovating, finding new products that are more built for delivery. I've sat with many other restaurateurs that are like, hey, I've got this dope burger concept, but it doesn't travel well.
Yeah.
We're such big critics of our own product that it's like, okay, cool. How do we develop this product that it can travel 5 to 10 minutes and still be great for that consumer?
Absolutely.
And that's really, and that's timing, right? That's that KDS that I installed.
Yeah.
I know what time it needs to be fired. I know what time that driver is going to be there approximately, so that product's not sitting on top of an oven or in a warming box waiting for that person to show up. That it's literally, here's your food, and they're dashing off to go and get the customer taken care of.
More efficient
So
for your team and obviously a better experience for the customer. So I love it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And just anticipating their needs, that's been really cool. But back into
Awesome.
the email's been hitting hard. Number one, and it's just fluctuating between brand awareness. Obviously the text messaging thing is huge, right? Reminding that person like, hey, what's for dinner tonight? Don't worry about
Yeah.
it. We've got it. And I mean, those are all been things that you guys have directed, help us build out the narrative, because that's for
Yeah.
our text messaging. And so it's been, it's been pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
And just to break down the numbers, look, we all fell from grace, in mid-March,
Yeah.
and trying to think about where our numbers were 5 weeks ago. And geez, I can't believe it's been 5 weeks, by the way.
I know.
Um,
Insane. Oh my
insane.
God.
I just want to go back to Disneyland. That's where I want to go.
I
But,
know.
like that, a movie theater.
I can't wait to go out and eat out somewhere, because I think what's
Dude,
going to happen is, to your point earlier, you mentioned, is people are going to remember who fought through this and who didn't. And they're going to remember what they ate and where they want to go. And for the restaurants that close, they're missing a massive opportunity, not just to, make revenue during this time, but also to earn the trust back of their customer base, which sounds like you guys have been doing a fantastic job about.
well, I actually think that's a great point, and something that isn't. If you are closed because you were forced to be closed,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be a lot of people discovering new, because people are pretty habitual, right?
Yes.
Everybody are habitual. Like, we have our customers that come to us once a month. We have a customer that comes once a week. We have a customer that comes once a quarter. We have a customer that comes once every 2 days. And we have customers that come every day to us.
Yeah.
And everybody has that split. But for the businesses that are closed, like, think about it. All those consumers' habits have been completely washed out.
Wow. Yes. You're so right on this.
Get
Yes.
ready to, like, if you've got your cash, make sure that you earmark, where are you going to be marketing? How are you going to be marketing? Are you going to have a grand reopening? Like, start planning now of how you're going to make that first impression again. Like, you can rekindle relationships, but make sure you're available. Make sure that you're there. And that's something that I think is important for people to start thinking about. Strategize it. And again, if you're out of your business and you're no longer in love with your business, like, hey, hats off to you. Work with your bank, work with your lenders, work with your partners, and find an exit plan. Like, there are going to be people who are, looking for a pop-up or looking for something, and start working that direction.
Absolutely. Well, Dara, this has been absolutely fantastic. Really appreciate your time today. I mean, everything you discussed, from the new screens, increasing your operations, to increasing the customer experience, bettering that experience, being honest and communicating with your landlords, your customer base, your employees, everything. This has been really invaluable. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, man. This has been a lot of fun. And again, if we hopefully we'll get the opportunity to, continue. It's been really, obviously, working with great partners, and again, always appreciate what Misfits brings, and the out of the box ideas. It's always fun, man. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. And looking forward to the next campaign with you guys. Anyway, stay safe, and we'll be in touch with you soon.
All right, man. Take care. We'll talk soon. All right. Cheers. Bye.